Welcome back. All right, at the start, I'm going to explain my outfit a little bit. Just a little bit. First off, Utah Jazz, because Utah's on the board, and I don't have a hockey jersey that's Utah related as of yet. The NHL hat, because, hey, hockey video, if I don't wear an NHL hat, I become the entertainment guy. And the Oswald shirt, because it's a month to the day before I head off to California and go to Disneyland, and I'm going to be pre-recording videos that'll post to the channel soon that will for while we're on vacation. Anyways, let's get into some news of the day from around the National Hockey League for your Tuesday, July the 9th. Adam Boqvist has signed a contract with the Florida Panthers. It's a one-year deal paying him $775,000. The Panthers now have both brothers in their organization. It's nice. First, we see the Joseph brothers get united on one roster. Now we see the Boqvist brothers united on one roster. I like when brothers play together, though. I think it's great. So anyways, yeah, this is where Devils fans come in. Now, if we could get Quinn Hughes, it's not going to happen. But anyways, yeah, Boqvist joins the Panthers. I think Florida, while they have had some losses since their Stanley Cup victory, certainly, I think they're going to be just fine next season. They're pretty good at finding steals from other organizations. So maybe Adam Boqvist, who has talent, has just had a hard time with consistency. His defensive games needed some work. Maybe a change of organization to Florida will really help him out. Callum Ritchie, a former first-round draft pick, has signed his 3-year entry-level contract with Colorado. So we're starting to see more and more of these young guys signing their entry-level contracts as teams try to figure out who is or who isn't ready to come up and all that. The development camps continue. Minnesota's just starting theirs today, for instance. So those camps are telling a lot. And apparently at the Toronto camp, some of those prospects feel like maybe they've got a chance at moving up in the organization. They feel encouraged by the development camp. That's kind of what that's meant to do. So, yeah, all the best to Richie in his attempts to move his way up through the Colorado organization. Barrett Hayton signs a 2-year extension. Took place yesterday. I didn't feel like I could just do a video strictly on Barrett Hayton, and I did a Utah video not long ago. He comes in at a $2.65 million cap hit. So Utah still has a ton of cap space. And honestly, with that cap hit, that could be a steal. So Hayden's basically taking the bridge deal with Utah, and he's a very talented forward. And if he can stay healthy this season, and if he clicks with Schmaltz and Keller like they did that 1 year in Arizona, that could be a very dangerous line. Very underrated line as well. So yeah. Other news, and this is one of those ones that's kind of interesting. So Elliot Friedman posts that Wes Clark looked like he was on his way out of the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. Within a couple of minutes, the Pittsburgh Penguins on the old Twitter machine post that they'd hired Wes Clark as vice president of player personnel. So basically, Kyle Dubas again poaches somebody from the Toronto organization. This is something that we see a lot of. That general managers have certain people they want to work with. For instance, when Jim Rutherford took over in Vancouver, there were expectations certain guys that he worked with before were on their way to Vancouver, and very often those ended up being true. So, yeah, Kyle Dubas continues to surround himself with guys that he's familiar with, guys that he likes, and Wes Clark's just the latest example of that. I don't normally talk about VP of player personnel hirings, but that is just one of those ones that's interesting, that just as it's being reported that he's on his way out of the Toronto organization, it comes out that Pittsburgh has hired him. So it sounds like he basically just packed his stuff one place, gets on a plane, goes to another, and sets up his office there. So all the best to the Penguins. And, of course, all the discussion with Pittsburgh. Eventually I'll do a video on Pittsburgh as well. I am just going through and it's random. So if you're wondering what team is he going to talk about next, it's random. Or it's teams that people are talking a lot about. Now, that means that Toronto I could do a video on probably almost every day because there's always that discussion. I've not weighed in on the whole discussion of captaincy and whether or not Tavares could end up losing the captaincy because I don't know if that's actually going to happen. So I haven't really been reporting on that. But I will say that there's been a lot of people posting about the fact Mitch Marner's still a Toronto Maple Leaf and asking, so what are they going to do? And there was a poll I did see on the old X Twitter and asking, should the Leafs keep or trade Marner? Problem is this. Marner's no movement clause, you can get around that a bit. You can get him to waive it for the right team. But that cap hit and the amount of teams right now that do not have the cap space to bring on Marner's contract, even with retention, you'd have a hard time moving him. So now you've got to kind of make it a dollar out, dollar in trade. I don't know that there's a team that's clamoring to do that with Marner when he's in the final year of his contract. So there are a lot of things working against a Marner trade right now. I do understand fans are upset that they're not getting this big overhaul. I think the Leafs set the bar a little bit high with the everything's on the table now. Everything's on the table. As soon as they said that, I mean, you just know there's going to be disappointment. But it definitely looks like the roster that they have right now, it's going to be very similar to the one we get in October. Keeping in mind that no, the rosters we see in July are not the ones we get in October. That's why I don't do the season previews until August. And even then, there are changes between when the season previews go up and the actual season gets started. There will be guys picked up in September, guys on tryouts, and things of that nature. And trades do take place as well before the season. So I think it's early to just declare that Marner's a Leaf for next season, but it definitely sounds like that's the way that they're leaning. And I mean, again, if the market's not there or if you're getting offers that just aren't good enough, you don't really have much choice. The worst thing Tree Living could do is trade Marner and it for it to be a bad trade, because then you've lost that asset. And yeah, in Toronto, you may not be around for very long if you trade a core piece and you don't get a lot back, or you don't get enough back, or the right package back, right? So anyways, I just wanted to weigh in on that a little bit today because I know it's out there, and I figured we're around the middle of July right now, so sure, why not? Things get a lot more casual during the summer if people haven't noticed. I mean, look, it's casual day. Anyways, Teuvo Teravainen talking about rejoining the Chicago Blackhawks organization. He was in Carolina for 8 seasons, and he's excited about going back. He's also excited about playing with Bedard. And I really think that the Chicago Blackhawks have done a good job of not just bringing guys in and, bringing veterans, which they did last summer too. But I think with the players they've signed this summer, it's a good group of guys that they've signed who all seem to have the right opinion and the right mindset of going to Chicago and what the plan is. So I think Chicago's done a really good job of making sure that they're still a prime destination for free agents. And yeah, I gotta say that Teravainen definitely sounds like he's excited, he's dialed in, he's ready for this coming season. Chicago, I think, will surprise people. Not that they're going to win a lot of games. They're not. Chicago just isn't going to win a lot of games. But they will not be the pushovers that they were last season, because this is where you start building up. And I think there's a lot of good young players. It's going to depend on guys like Nazer. It's going to depend on a guy like Korchinski. These guys come in, and if they're able to take that next step, if they're able to push a veteran out of a job and push their way up the lineup, Chicago might get a lot better a lot quicker than we may realize. So my intention for today, I'm going to do a video on the Carolina Hurricanes. There's been a lot of talk about Carolina. Teravainen, of course, exiting Carolina. It's kind of doom and gloom, but it does remind me of the Washington Capitals in the summer of 2017, where they shed a lot of their depth and players went out, and then they brought in a lot of guys on league minimum contracts, and it looked like they were not as good of a team, but they ended up winning the Stanley Cup in 2017, 2018. So I'll take a look at Carolina today, so keep your eyes peeled for that, and then probably have something fun later too. So anyways, let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.